The production of this program is made possible thanks to the support of the following and viewers like you. The District of Squamish denied Woodfibre's LNG application for a temporary use permit for its Bridgemans Floatel, citing concerns over safety, environmental, and community impacts. Council also cited a lack of information from the company as its reasons for saying no to the refurbished cruise ship that is intended to act as a floating workplace accommodation. Hard to comprehend, said Christine Kennedy, the president of Woodfibre LNG. The district has asked repeatedly since 2019 to the company and to regulators that the project workforce be housed outside of Squamish, which is exactly what the Floatel delivers. Kennedy goes on to say, a councillor suggested that there are better solutions than a Floatel. Housing options were considered and discussed with the district over a 5-year engagement process, during which time the district repeatedly asked the company and regulators to house non-local workers outside of the community due to low vacancy rates in Squamish. Well, Woodfibre LNG responded with the Floatel. Kennedy says if council had better ideas, they had 5 years to bring those forward. On Tuesday, May 21st, Squamish Council decided to reconsider its decision and has postponed a final vote until June the 4th. I invited Christine Kennedy to join me for a conversation that matters about the process the company followed in the development of the innovative Floatel and what this potential rejection means to the project and, of equal importance, to BC's investment reputation. Christine, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Were you floored when you heard council say, yeah, no, we're not going to issue this temporary use permit?
We were, yes, absolutely. It's been a process of a long time of preparation, so the decision was really quite surprising.
When I take a look at the development of the project, right from the very start, first of all, I know that there was open communication with the District of Squamish right away, but also at the same level and, I guess, openness with the Squamish First Nation, which is on side with the project.
Absolutely. One of the things that, I would say that we're the proudest of is that relationship with Squamish Nation, and that they are the first time outside a treaty, full regulator on our project alongside the provincial and federal government. So that arrangement is significant. They have key jurisdiction over the project, and their decision on this matters.
So tell me a little bit more about the project, because I know that there was this move towards electrification in liquefying the natural gas. This was one of the commitments that the company made to reduce the environmental impact of producing or creating this plant.
Absolutely so. And in the process of the Squamish Nation Environmental Assessment Agreement, the company did agree with Squamish Nation that this would be an electric-driven or e-drive liquefaction project. So not only that, other key considerations were made in collaboration with Squamish Nation, moving from seawater cooling to air cooling and other considerations that were important to the nation. The company has been working side by side with the nation and other regulators for a very good long time now. And just last year, we announced our net zero roadmap, which committed to be the first net zero LNG liquefaction facility in the world, and to offset all of the emissions of construction. First time that's ever been done. So pretty neat thing to do alongside Squamish Nation.
Well, the other point that I take from that is it demonstrates an ongoing and long-term commitment to be as environmentally friendly as possible.
Absolutely. That's one of the key things about this project and about working in British Columbia and Canada. Our natural resource exports go out to the world with like a regulatory good housekeeping seal of approval, such as it is. And then when you have the opportunity to do additional things, like going to net zero, it enhances that for the customer base around the world, and for British Columbians to know that this work is being done in the most environmentally sustainable way possible.
The production of this program is made possible thanks to the support of the following and viewers like you.
The other thing that I remember about the site, of course, is that it was a former pulp mill.
Yes.
And when I was last there, it was in rather interesting disarray. It's not like there was remedial work done the way that you would reclaim a mine site or whatnot. Nope, the pulp mill was gone, and there was an awful lot that was rusting in place, and it was becoming an eyesore. What has been the investment from Woodfibre LNG into remediating that site?
Well, there's been significant work on remediation over the last several years. Like millions and millions of dollars go into preparing a site like this for construction. Land remediation, like removing old infrastructure, capping a former landfill that was on site, removing old creosote piles from like the ocean. All of those things also like have resulted in like some pretty cool changes, such as the return of herring to the site, which is incredibly important to Squamish Nation. Making those advancements that like clean up former industrial development and get ready for new, clean, net zero production that will be a game changer in the way that business was historically done there, and that's done alongside Squamish Nation and with meaningful opportunities for employment and participation.
So give me a little bit of a timeline. How far are we into this project so far? Like when it was first proposed, what year are we going back to?
Oh, like first proposed a good long time ago, I believe in 2012, long before I was here. Progress made over the years, of course. Long-term engagement with Squamish Nation, with the province, of course, with the district as well. And then like circumstances, like regulatory, like planning, timeframes, COVID happens. And so, we're at the stage where a great deal of remediation work happened last year. And then in September last year, we were in construction. All of our regulatory conditions to start construction were met, and the contractor mobilized to site and construction got underway. So great deal of work has been done since then. Marine work for the Floatel moorings are in place. Much of the land preparation work has been done for moving towards the leave to construct permission that comes next from the BC Energy Regulator, and moving on with full facility construction.
So you're not going to go through that work believing that, oh, okay, maybe we're pushing the boundaries here when we come up with a housing or accommodation solution. You're actually working based on the idea that you are working with a variety of different agencies, and they're all in agreement that you're going in the right direction.
For sure. The Floatel is the approved housing solution for the project by the provincial government, by the Squamish Nation government, by federal regulators. So that is the decision that has been made. BC Environmental Assessment Office amended our environmental assessment certificate for the project. Squamish Nation amended our Squamish Nation Environmental Assessment Agreement, both in November last year. That's a process to get ready for that of years in the making, and of course years of engagement that also included the district in technical advisory committees, in community engagements, in working with regulators at all levels. And as I've said in some of the like recent statements that we've made on the part of the company, this has been like a very open process over those years through which like our colleagues in the district did ask regulators and the company to work with them to make sure that the workforce wasn't in the community because of the pressures that they're experiencing on housing. I like rough estimates, but I think it's somewhere around 600 people per year have moved to Squamish over the last decade. It's a small community. Keeping up with the pace of housing demand is significant. So it's sensible for a project like ours to take that workforce, create something that is like comfortable, welcoming, provides all the amenities that are needed, and to make sure that we're not putting pressure on housing in Squamish or on like community infrastructure, on like medical services, on roads, and all of those things. We are genuine and like sensitive about that type of work. And of course, Squamish Nation worked right alongside all of that as a regulator as well.
The production of this program is made possible thanks to the support of the following and viewers like you.
What was the thinking that went into saying, okay, here's a way that we can address all those concerns and have a minimal impact on housing in the community? How did you come to the decision to go with the Floatel?
Well, I think that that's really where Bridgemans Services Group entered like the picture. They're a provider of like similar vessels to other industrial projects in BC and around the world. And so they came forward with the suggestion of a Floatel. And then that was discussed in the engagement process. It was announced in 2019 by the company, and engagement continued on it thereafter. Bridgemans is a local company, family-owned company,
based, right?
here in Vancouver, that in this case is like working right alongside Squamish Nation in the development of the plan for how workers are going to be accommodated on the vessel.
I took a look at their website, I noted that they had done something similar in Kitimat with the Haisla First Nation.
Absolutely.
And it's a great success.
Very good success. And workers from that project speak very strongly of their experience on that Floatel. These are, like accommodations that are like premier quality with all of the services and amenities that people could want, like food, recreation, it's all right there. Medical services, like everything that you need in a self-contained like facility where for like the company, for workers, for like the community, we know that we're not impinging on the needs of others. That's why you do this kind of thing.
So I've had the, I want to say the good fortune of spending more than a few nights in work camp accommodation in the type that you see that are, modular kind of housing. You get a room with a bed, a sink, maybe a little bit of desk space and a shared washroom. It's very, very basic. Linoleum walls, linoleum floors, fluorescent lighting. My sense is that what you've got here on the Floatel is a definite step above that kind of very rudimentary accommodation that you would get if you were to build out a work camp.
Far and away. This is like top comfort accommodation where like every worker on board has like their own private room with an ensuite bath. Like everyone has like private like shower, bathroom facilities in their room. Like newly renovated, comfortable, like brand new, like top of the line outfitted facility, a huge gym. Dining like options, like recreational facilities, a games room, like areas like for people to gather, quiet areas for people that want to read, like everything like that can be like considered for the men and women that will build this project is there on the Floatel in a way that keeps from impacting like the community of Squamish. And like workers don't want to like overcrowd a small community either.
No. And it's a much shorter trip from the ship to site than it is from a work camp, because you're still going to have to transport them from there to site and back every day.
Every single day, yes. Like current arrangements involve like commute times of about 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
That's a long time for workers that are also putting in a heavy day like on site. And it's like a lot more marine transportation than the project footprint necessarily needs to have at this stage. There's like, if the Floatel is in place, that marine transport back and forth, all of that number of times doesn't need to happen every single day for those workers while they're on shift. Like, it's a lot of extra time for them. And they're the ones that are like building this and that will build the value from it for the province and the country.
The production of this program is made possible thanks to the support of the following and viewers like you.
You didn't sit idly by. I mean, you responded right away. You sent communication to council. Are you happy that they are at least saying, okay, we're willing to reconsider?
I'm absolutely pleased with the reconsideration. Like that, it's an important step, and we hope that that is the pathway to approval and issuance of the temporary use permit and being able to like moor the Floatel and bring the workforce on aboard.
And I understand that you've also said that you'll up the financial guarantee against any potential liability. Is that correct?
We did, yeah. One of the councillors raised in the first meeting on this that he had a concern about whether there was adequate security if, like, in the like imaginary circumstances where the Floatel was left on site beyond the term of the temporary use permit. While that isn't like realistic in like the case of something of this value and cost, I understand where, like coastal municipalities are coming from. There's been, like a long-term pressure that like sits on their books if like abandoned or derelict vessels like drift into municipal waters. While it's unlikely in these circumstances and, like absolutely not possible, I totally understand why they like need to look to protect their municipality against such things. So we did like promptly thereafter, as quickly as we could confirm with district staff that it wouldn't in any way interrupt the municipal process, offered to meet the additional security that was requested.
What do you do if they come back on June the 4th and say, nope, we're sticking with it, we're not going to give you the temporary use permit?
Well, that would be like an unfortunate decision, and of course there's all kinds of procedural steps that follow that, like the potential for reapplication and, like re-adjudication through a month-long process, which would presume, like, if that were to happen, that the workforce, like, was like put in limbo somewhere. A project like this carries on in construction. So like we certainly hope that like the decision comes quickly to allow like the Floatel to moor.
So it's not going to stop the project?
Absolutely not. Like construction carries on and will carry on uninterrupted by this. Like all it does is like extend the commute time for workforce or, like force us to look at like other alternatives.
Well, it ups your costs as well.
Dramatically.
And so how do you as a company then recover that? Because when I look at what you've done, it doesn't look to me like you've done anything other than follow the process that you were asked to follow.
Rigorously and, and went beyond in every case where it was reasonable to do so. This is a company that like wants to do the right thing. It's going to be part of that community like for 40 years after construction is complete. Like we need to do things in the right way with respect for the people, the environment, our relationships. We don't do anything like short.
Oh, okay. So when, I asked you when did the whole project first start, going back to 2012. We're already 12 years into this. British Columbia already has a reputation as being a very difficult place to do business. It's as though if there's some way that we can say, nope, you can't do that, we'll come up. That's the one thing we can do, is say no can do. When you're part of an international organization, how does this affect BC's reputation as a place to invest?
I think that like British Columbia is still like land of incredible opportunity. And British Columbia and Canada. We are like incredibly blessed with natural resources and a world that wants those resources sustainably developed and put forward with the brand or that good housekeeping seal that comes from like jurisdiction that has the regulatory controls that Canada and British Columbia do. Issues like this, of course, have like a dampening effect, but for like projects like this that take this kind of planning horizon and then like years of construction before they're like ready to actually like export product, that's patient capital. And and you need to be able to like flex and be responsive to some bumps along the way.
That's an awful lot of patient capital, and the process that an organization such as yours has to go through to make that final investment decision, these must be factors that get worked into the equation. But at some point, I'm concerned that we're sending a message that we don't want you to do business here. Of course, the interpretation on local municipalities like zoning authority could be interpreted that way, and I would absolutely understand that in the investor community. I think that like British Columbia does a good job of interfacing with the investment community and will deal well with responses that need to be made in that regard. A company like ours finds a path forward, whatever the circumstances are that we're faced with. This is like certainly an inconvenience, and like we hope to move through it quickly. But like there are alternatives. If the district council doesn't do what is within their like remit, within the Local Government Act, within their official community plan, and within the community charter to do. Well, I'm happy to hear that it's not going to stop the project and that you say, yeah, that's part of the process of developing a long-term project. Thanks for coming in and giving us some insight into how we got to here and what the Floatel represents.
Absolutely glad to. Thanks so much for having me.